Yesterday, I was just scrolling through Blue Sky, liking some dinosaur art made by some awesome paleo artists and, just doing what any regular dinosaur fan would do. But then I came across this quote from Gareth Edwards, and it made me want to make this video and kind of have a little bit of a rant. Let me read the quote for you. Of course, if you don't know, Gareth Edwards, he is the director of the most recent Jurassic World film, that being Rebirth. Gareth Edwards explains that people having an overall disinterest in dinosaurs is written into the story. There's been many dinosaur films in terms of Jurassic Park movies, and the audience, you've got to do something new and fresh to give them a reason to come see the movie, he said. And so by acknowledging that at the beginning and saying, look, audiences aren't that interested in dinosaurs anymore, I thought it was like, okay, well, this is an honest beginning. Let's see where we go from here. Now, that is something that, of course, I'm not really in agreement with, and that's mostly the idea that people are disinterested in dinosaurs. Of course, it was written into the movie at the very beginning of the movie, much like the first Jurassic World film. It stated that people are simply just not interested in dinosaurs anymore, and as a result, like dinosaur-themed attractions aren't really the big thing anymore. Which doesn't make a lot of sense to me in universe because, I mean, if with our real life world today, people still do like zoos and aquariums and things like that. And those are animals that we live with on a daily basis. These are long extinct animals, called dinosaurs. The whole idea that people can just get tired of dinosaurs and just not show up to any events with them, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It didn't make a lot of sense to me in the first Jurassic World film, and it certainly doesn't make a lot of sense to me in this new Jurassic World film. But I digress. He's like, that's mostly like a commentary on the real world. At least that's the way that he presents it, saying that, you have to do something new with the Jurassic franchise in order to get butts and seats. And again, I don't really agree with that. Of course, dinosaurs, they're these really incredible sort of mysterious thing that, of course, children love, but many adults love as well. You go to museums and you'll probably see that dinosaur sections are oftentimes pretty packed. At least the museums that I go to, there's usually quite a few people who are still going to those exhibits. You go to any like roadside dinosaur attraction, like a giant dinosaur statue, there's usually quite a few people there. And you have a lot of different like dinosaur related projects that still do very well. So I don't really know where this idea comes from that people are disinterested in dinosaurs unless I'm completely missing something. Now, of course, you do have your outliers of people who simply just hate dinosaurs or don't even believe in dinosaurs that are, directly opposed to it. But the idea that people can just be disinterested by dinosaurs, that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But that does kind of like explain why they introduced creatures like the Mutodon or the Distortus Rex, which are so dissimilar from what you would expect a dinosaur design to look like. The D-Rex, for example, it's got like some of the makings of a theropod dinosaur, yet it's quadrupedal and it's got 6 limbs in total. It's got 2 like little Tyrannosaurus Rex limbs right here and these huge and powerful limbs right here for grabbing and whatnot. It's got like a beluga whale head up here. And again, it is quadrupedal instead of being bipedal, which is what we typically see for theropod dinosaurs. It's very dissimilar from what you would probably expect a regular dinosaur to look like, and it looks more in line with like a movie monster. The same also goes for the Mutodons, which have been confirmed to be hybrids, but you have basically like these huge, like bigger than Utah raptors, I believe, like larger than Utah raptors with wings, and they're able to fly around, and they have beaks at the end of their snouts, and they have a mouthful of teeth. Very monster-like in general. So it feels like, yes, these are being crafted to try to get more people to come and see the film. And that's probably why they even showed them in the trailers in the first place, because in their mind, they believe that people don't really care about dinosaurs anymore. So they feel like they have to do extra just to get people to go and see the film. But Dominion still did well in the box office. Yeah, and previous films still did well in the box office, even though you had like dinosaurs that still looked like dinosaurs. I mean, even the hybrids of the previous trilogy, like the Indominus Rex and the Indoraptor, they still looked like dinosaurs in a certain sort of way. Like of course, they're a bit different, and they're fictional theropods, but they still had the basic shape of a theropod, just with some deviation here and there, like the fact that the Indoraptor is quadrupedal. And so now that I've heard that, it kind of makes me dislike the mutants a little bit more, because it kind of makes it feel like these are something that were just placed in there because they feel like they didn't have faith in dinosaurs anymore. But again, I don't know where this lack of faith realistically comes from, because let's look at some of the projects. We have Prehistoric Planet. Huge documentary, amazing CGI. It did well. It did well, and people were talking about it for quite a bit. It got 2 seasons, and everybody loves that show. They still do praise it, and now it's used as, like, the baseline for any future documentaries. People are like, I feel like any future documentary that has the same format is gonna immediately get compared to Prehistoric Planet. You also have Dead Sound's Dinosauria series, and let's just take a look at how many views those videos get. I mean, those videos, they get millions of views per episode. Like, Old Buck has 2.3 million, Our Frozen Past has 4.2 million. A More Ancient Spring has 2.7 million, and the final one has 3.6 million, which is The Last Tyrant. Now, of course, those are simply just YouTube views, and they can't really be translated to the overall general public, but it is still something that does perform well. I mean, even something like Walking with Dinosaurs was pretty hyped up, and, you know, even though it was very dissimilar from its namesake, and it doesn't quite have the same level, it's still something that I feel many people did very much enjoy. Even if you look at some of my videos, as someone who makes videos focused entirely on dinosaurs, there'll be some times on, say, TikTok or something like that, where I get a significant amount of views. Like, there's one video where I'm simply just talking about Tyrannosaurus Rex eyesight. That one single topic, and it has 1.7 million views. And that's just on one aspect of Tyrannosaurus Rex. I do get other videos that get millions of views, and some of them are just on very niche things. I don't think necessarily the problem is dinosaurs per se. I don't even think there is a problem with dinosaurs at all. I think it's just a problem with the creatives behind it. And I don't know if it's necessarily a problem with them, but it's just like, I think we need some people who are willing to take the risk and implement new things into these dinosaur stories. Most of all, I think that we do need more dinosaur franchises out there. All we have in terms of, like, the big money-making dinosaur franchises is the Jurassic franchise, and we can't just have that. We need more things to actually offer, first of all, some competition. Fortunately, we do have something coming up known as Primitive War, which of course is dinosaurs in the Vietnam War, which is a project that I'm pretty excited for. There was, of course, 65, but 65 did certainly leave a lot to be desired. But we do need new things with some filmmakers who probably have some passion for things like dinosaurs, that are willing to just implement some things that kind of like redefine how the public would view dinosaurs in a similar way that the first Jurassic Park redefined how people view dinosaurs. Because let's not forget, Jurassic Park was pretty important for the way that the public viewed dinosaurs in general. Like, I say this so many times, but there are so many people who they come to my comments and they say that they understand that Jurassic Park and the world films are not documentaries, but they apply that basic knowledge to everybody. There's a lot of the public who do not understand that, and they do get their information from those movies. I can't tell you how many times I've had someone in my comment section ask me if Dilophosaurus was venomous, or if T-Rex can actually see you if you didn't move, or if the Velociraptor was actually like a 6-foot tall, naked lizard thing. It does happen. There are people who do get their information from these movies. The first Jurassic Park helped redefine how people viewed dinosaurs in a good way, because beforehand, people were still under the impression that dinosaurs were these slow-moving giant lizards that were destined for extinction. Jurassic Park basically took what we learned from the dinosaur renaissance and applied that to the big screen. And, you know, obviously they got a lot of that from the original Jurassic Park novel, which also applied that to its dinosaurs. It made them a lot more active animals, made them basically warm-blooded, and of course, we're not slow-moving, and it applied, like, our current research to those animals. Now, there were some creative liberties taken, mostly with, like, the Dilophosaurus, but for the most part, they were accurate for the time. That's something that you don't really see with most current films. In fact, in the most recent film, Rebirth, the expert character full-on called a Mosasaurus a dinosaur. So that's currently where we stand. But that's just me getting into rambling territory. Basically, like, I just needed to rant a little bit. I don't really agree with a quote like that people are disinterested in dinosaurs. I just think that people are disinterested in the way that you would want to portray dinosaurs. I don't think that you need to make a giant mutant creature just to make people interested in a dinosaur film. Because I know that not everybody loves Dominion, but Dominion still did do well in the box office. And it was just a dinosaur film. There wasn't any, like, creatures that were meant to be portrayed as monsters, like a movie monster. They were simply just there existing as, you know, like, just as dinosaurs. And in fact, Dominion probably has some of the most accurate dinosaur designs in current Jurassic franchise history, implementing things like feathers or even proper skeletal shape in terms of like the Quetzalcoatlus. One of the biggest deviations would have to be the Giganotosaurus, but it wasn't in the film for a significant amount of time. Basically, my overall point is, my long-winded point is that I don't think that people are disinterested in dinosaurs. I don't think that's true in universe. At least I don't think it should be true in universe, and I don't think it's true out of universe. I still think that there is an interest in dinosaurs, and to say that there's not, and that you need to do these drastic things just to get people to go and see your film, I don't agree with that. I think that Gareth Edwards, he's a great director, and I do like some of his films. I did really love the 2014 Godzilla film. I really like the way that those kaijus were portrayed, but I don't think that we need this sort of mindset applied to the Jurassic franchise. I don't think that's where we need to go in the future of the Jurassic franchise. I don't think that that's really the best route to take. I think that we just need to go into this with the idea that these are simply just animals that existed, and that they were fascinating animals. It was a diverse clade of animals, and there's a lot of creative things that you can do with these animals. And if you are just willing to take that risk, or just implement some of those creative things, then I feel like you'll have a good project on your hands that enough people are willing to go and see. I don't know if anything that I'm saying is making sense to you. It's just something that I needed to rant about for a little bit, because again, I just simply don't agree with that quote, and it kind of does make me a bit sad as someone who grew up loving dinosaurs and still loves dinosaurs, and to hear that there are people who think that the public is simply just disinterested in dinosaurs. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me from what I see as someone who constantly like watches dinosaur media, or constantly goes to museums, or I'm constantly in this space as a creator of dinosaur things. I see huge array of different comments. A lot of people are genuinely excited about this sort of thing. A lot of people even comment saying that they take notes whenever my videos show up because they just genuinely love the topic. There's a lot of people who, they love it for the movies or the shows, which is, that's great. And there are people who just want to learn about it. There's a lot of really great things in terms of dinosaur media. And I kind of feel like the current trajectory of like the Jurassic franchise, which again, to reiterate, is the largest dinosaur franchise out there, is that they want to step away from that because they feel like people aren't interested in that. And that kind of makes me sad. I don't want people to be disinterested in it because it's really fascinating and it's really cool stuff. I don't think that we need to take a step away from that. So before I ramble on a little bit too long, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right here. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on this topic. And yeah, I'll thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.